Let's talk about John. He's just a regular guy, the kind of person you might pass by on the street without a second thought. John works at the local grocery store, stocking shelves and helping customers find what they need. He pays his taxes diligently and loves his dog, a loyal companion who never leaves his side. You know, the kind of person you'd want as a neighbor. Always ready with a smile and a helping hand, John is the guy who'd lend you a cup of sugar or help you fix a leaky faucet without expecting anything in return. John's the guy who would help you move your couch and not even ask for pizza. Now meet Officer Smith. He's got a badge, he's got a gun, he's got power, but there's more to him than meets the eye. But here's the kicker. He thinks he's above the law. Officer Smith walks around with an air of authority, believing that his badge grants him immunity from the rules that govern everyone else. Officer Smith is the kind of cop who makes other cops look bad. His actions cast a shadow over the entire police force, making it hard for the good officers to do their jobs. He's the reason people cross the street when they see a patrol car. The sight of his patrol car instills fear rather than a sense of safety, a stark contrast to what a police presence should represent. So we've got John and Officer Smith, two very different people. One is a humble, hard-working individual, while the other is a symbol of corruption and misuse of power. One's just trying to live his life, going about his daily routine and making the best of what he has. The other's abusing his power like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of corruption. Officer Smith takes advantage of his position, bending the rules to suit his needs and desires. And guess what? Their paths are about to cross. In a city where the lines between right and wrong often blur, their encounter is inevitable. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be pretty. When these two worlds collide, the outcome will be anything but ordinary. Stay tuned to see what happens when an everyday hero meets a corrupt enforcer. It was a Tuesday, just a regular Tuesday. John was walking home from work, minding his own business, but then, bam, Officer Smith shows up.
You look suspicious.
Now let's be clear. John's about as suspicious as a golden retriever in a park, but Smith, he's fishing for trouble, and boy, does he find it.
I'm just heading home. I've got nothing to hide.
But Smith's not listening. No, he's too busy flexing his power. He's pushing John around, physically and verbally. It's a full-on abuse of power, folks.
I could arrest you, plant evidence, make your life a living hell.
And John, he's terrified. Things go from bad to worse. Smith drags John into an alley, away from prying eyes. This is where the real shakedown begins.
Pay up, protection money, or face the consequences.
John's confused. He's scared. He's wondering how this can be happening in America. John doesn't have much cash on him, but Smith doesn't care. He takes what John has. Then he tells John it's not enough. He wants more, weekly payments or else. This is John's new reality. He's being extorted by the very person who's supposed to protect him. John leaves the alley poorer, shaken and with a weight on his shoulders. John goes home that night. He's a mess, can't sleep, can't eat. He keeps replaying the encounter in his head. He feels helpless, powerless. But then something changes. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's desperation. But John decides he's had enough. He's not going to be a victim anymore. He's going to fight back. He starts doing research, looking up laws, reading about police corruption. He's educating himself, arming himself with knowledge. Because knowledge, that's power. This is the turning point. John realizes something important. He's not alone. There are others who share his pain and frustration. Other victims of Officer Smith. People who have suffered in silence for too long. Other people living in fear, afraid to speak out, afraid of retaliation. John S1. So I started talking to my neighbors, to my co-workers, to anyone who would listen. I shared my story, and in return they shared theirs. Stories of injustice, of fear, of hope. And guess what? People are listening. It starts small, a few people sharing their stories. Then more join in. The group grows larger, the voices grow louder. It's like a dam breaking, a flood of voices that can no longer be ignored. Suddenly everyone's talking about police corruption, about Officer Smith, about the systemic issues that have plagued their community, about the fear they've been living with, the fear that has kept them silent for so long. It's not just John's fight anymore, it's everyone's fight. A collective struggle for justice and change. Audience member 1, S4. The community comes together, we organize meetings, we share information, we support each other, we stand united. This is where the tide starts to turn, where hope begins to replace fear. Officer Smith, he's not just dealing with John anymore. He's facing an entire community that refuses to back down. He's facing an entire community that has found its voice, a community that stands together stronger than ever. Now, John and the community have a mission. They need evidence, hard, solid evidence of Smith's corruption, because without evidence, it's just their word against a cop's. John, S1. So we get to work. We start documenting everything, every encounter with Smith, every threat, every demand for money. We're building a paper trail, a digital trail too. Videos, voice recordings, anything we can get our hands on. It's risky, but it's necessary. Some brave souls even wear hidden cameras. They capture Smith in the act. It's dangerous, but these people, they're done being afraid. John, S1. The evidence piles up. It's overwhelming. Just when things seem darkest, a light appears. In the midst of chaos and uncertainty, hope can emerge from the most unexpected places. A young officer steps forward, her presence a beacon of integrity in a city plagued by corruption. Let's call her Officer Johnson. She's not just any officer, she's someone who believes in justice and the power of doing what's right. She's new to the force, idealistic, full of dreams and aspirations to change the world. One step at a time, she joined to make a difference, to be the change she wanted to see in her community, and now she's about to make a big one, a decision that could alter the course of her career and the future of her city. Johnson's seen things, heard things, whispers of corruption, shadows of deceit. She knows Smith is dirty. She's pieced together the puzzle, and the picture isn't pretty. But she's been afraid to speak up, afraid of retaliation. The fear of losing her job, her safety, her peace of mind, of being labeled a snitch, the stigma that comes with it, the isolation. But now, seeing the community come together, it gives her courage, the strength of unity, the power of collective hope. She decides to blow the whistle, to stand up for what's right no matter the cost. Johnson brings more than just her testimony. She brings inside information, records, documents that could expose the rot within, names of other corrupt officers, a network of deceit that has been festering for too long. This is a turning point, a moment of reckoning for the city. With Johnson's evidence, they have a real case, a chance to cleanse the force and restore faith in the system. The day of the trial arrives. The courthouse is packed, media everywhere. This isn't just about Officer Smith anymore. It's about the whole system, about trust in law enforcement, about justice itself. The stakes, they couldn't be higher.
The prosecution presents their case. It's strong. The evidence is overwhelming. Testimony from victims, from community members, from Officer Johnson, video evidence, financial records. It's all there, laid out for everyone to see.
Smith's defense? They try everything. They attack the victim's credibility. They claim the evidence is fabricated. They paint Smith as a hero being framed.
The jury listens, the judge watches, the whole city holds its breath.
The jury's been out for days. The city's on edge. Everyone's waiting, watching, hoping. Finally, they return. The courtroom falls silent. You could hear a pin drop. This is it, the moment of truth.
The verdict is read. Guilty on all counts.
The courtroom erupts. Some cheer, some cry. It's a mix of joy, relief, and vindication.
Smith. He looks shocked, like he can't believe it, like he thought he was untouchable.
The judge sentences Smith. It's harsh, as it should be.
This verdict, it's more than just about Smith. It's a victory for John and the community. The trial's over, but the work's just beginning. The city's police department is in shambles. Trust is at an all-time low. People are angry, scared, disillusioned. But here's the thing. This crisis, it's also an opportunity for real change.
The mayor steps up, announces a complete overhaul of the police department. New leadership, new policies, new training. It's not just about punishing bad cops, it's about creating good ones, about changing the culture, about rebuilding trust from the ground up.
Community leaders get involved. They're part of the process now, helping shape policies.
It's been a year since the trial. The city's different now. You can feel it in the air. There's hope, there's trust. People aren't afraid of the police anymore. They see them as allies, as protectors, the way it should be.
John, he's become a community leader. He speaks at schools, at community events. He tells his story, encourages others to stand up for what's right. He's living proof that one person can make a difference.
The police department, it's transformed, more diverse, more accountable, more connected to the community. Crime is down. Citizen complaints are down, satisfaction is up. It's not perfect. There's still work to do, but it's progress.